Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to paint a galaxy type landscape using watercolors. Now I'm going to be doing this using the wet on wet technique, so I will start off by wetting the paper with water basically. Now I will say right now it's storming right now, so if you hear thunder in the background, that's all it is. So here right now I'm spraying the watercolors with water just so they can soak, and usually by doing this, if you let your watercolors soak for just a couple of minutes in water, it'll help bring out more pigment. Now I decided to use my Jack Richardson Yarka watercolors for this because I thought they were very vibrant and I thought they would do a perfect job of portraying the picture I wanted. Now I'm taking some pinkish red and basically just kind of tapping the paper with a bunch of dots, and basically I would just have it pointing in an upwards direction. But if you want your galaxy to look different, you can also do whatever you want. This is just a guideline. Now, since this is a pretty tedious process, I didn't realize how quickly the water would dry, so I had to re-wet the paper multiple times so it would be easier for the colors to blend out. Now, I also decided to experiment by using salt on top of the watercolors. I didn't use it on the pinkish part just because by the time I got back to it, I realized it dried out. So once I get to the purple and the bluish part of the galaxy, that's when I started putting salt on. And I did it while it was wet because if you do it when it's dry, it won't react or do anything. This also brings me to my next point as of why I decided Jack Richardson watercolors instead of my other ones. My cheaper watercolors, first of all, they are not as bright and vibrant as Jack Richardson watercolors, so they would not appear as beautiful on the page as they do right now. Another reason is when I tried the salt trick on my cheaper watercolors, it literally did nothing. So I'm going to experiment and see if Jack Richardson products react to salt the way I want them to. And personally, I think they will, because despite their cheap price, you can tell they put a lot of thought into these watercolors, and they're really high quality. Now, if you watched some of my previous videos, you will know that I've tried these watercolors before, and that was my one video when I was trying Jack Richardson products. And I will link the video in the description below, but the basic summary of how I feel about all of their products was really positive. I think they did a really good job at the quality of their products. You could tell they put a lot of effort into making them not only an affordable and pretty cheap price, but they did it without making the quality cheap. And that's why I really love their products. But if you do want to see an in-depth review of me reviewing all of their supplies, I will put a link down in the description of my video reviewing them, and I'll also put links to all of the supplies I used in this video. Anyway, back to the tutorial. One thing in general I really love about watercolors is that they reactivate. So basically, if the color dries up, I can just use a little bit of water and then they're as good as new. So that means when they dry up and I can't blend them, I just use some water and I can blend them up again. Now I will explain why I need to use the wet on wet technique to make this galaxy. Basically, if you put down this pigment on a dry surface, you would only get a bunch of dots. The pigment wouldn't exactly separate and spread out as you placed it onto the paper. So to get that galaxy effect, I do have to have a wet surface beforehand so it gets a better appearance to it, in my opinion. And personally, I think Jack Richardson watercolors are the best thing I could possibly use to make a galaxy. Whenever I try to do this with my cheaper watercolors, they just aren't as pigmented, they don't work as well, they don't spread out when I place them on the paper as much, and overall I just think it looks a lot more vibrant and beautiful using these colors. And personally, if you're following this tutorial, you don't even have to do it exactly as I'm doing it. You don't have to put it at an angle. You could maybe just make a nebula. Oh, maybe that's what it is. I mean, I guess technically this could be a galaxy or a nebula, depending on how you view it. But if you don't want to have it at an angle, you just kind of want that desired effect, but not really specifically how I have it, you can always change the colors or change the direction. You don't have to follow exactly as I'm doing in this tutorial. It's more of a guide. You could use different colors, like maybe blue and green and yellow, and I think those would be a really good combination for a nebula or something. But anyway, regarding the salt I used in this piece, I think after it dried, when I looked at it, I think I could have used a lot more to get the desired effect I wanted, but it did work. So that's one thing for sure with these watercolors. The salt trick did work, so I was really happy about that. And personally, I think you could use a little more salt, and I think as soon as you put the pigment on the surface, you should put salt on it before it dries up, because I made that mistake and I couldn't really get that desired salt effect on the reddish pinkish part. Listening back at this, I realize that I am repeating words a lot, but I'm trying not to make this too scripted. I'm just trying to explain my basic process, and this is pretty much how I think as I do a piece. I don't have a specific thought in my head, I just kind of go along with it. Like, before I started this video, I knew some things for sure. I would have a galaxy, I would have it at an angle. I planned my colors out, but I wasn't sure how they would appear on the page. I just knew from prior experience that a reddish pink, a purple, and a blue would look good together, I mean. But I had no idea it would end up looking as beautiful as this, so I'm really happy with how that turned out. And as I was painting this, I knew I wanted something more on the page than just a galaxy, but I wasn't quite sure what I wanted. It wasn't until I let it dry that I figured out I should maybe put some trees here. I think that would look really good with this piece. Something I figured out after I stopped using tutorials is that yes, you should have a basic idea of what you want to do, but you shouldn't always have to stick to that same idea, and just let your mind work, and whatever comes to your head, just try it out if you want to, or if you don't have to. Try and not make painting or any art in general be something that you're stressed out about. Just let it be relaxing and just let your mind do whatever it wants. Anyway, here's close-up footage as proof that the salt trick did work, so I'm really happy to show you that. Anyway, now I'm gonna take some black and start making some trees in the landscape. I'm not quite sure how to explain how I make my trees. I kind of do it in the same process as I did the background, with little dots per se on the page, and basically I form it into the shape of a triangle, which looks like a tree. So since there's not much to explain here, I'm just gonna stop talking and let you guys watch. As I started to run out of pigment and the black started to appear a little gray on the page, I decided to use that to my advantage and make it look like the trees were in different distances. And here I'm checking to make sure there's no more salt on the page. And now I'm taking some white and placing it like in random places on the page, basically because they're stars. And then I also decided to use the splatter method as well instead of the placing method, just to kind of make them a little more random. And now we're pretty much done. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think of this video, and hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys next video. Take it easy, guys.